Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today's video is a special video to celebrate my 10 years on YouTube. Yes, that is correct. I've been uploading videos to YouTube for 10 years. I started the channel back on January the 14th, 2014, and since then I've been regularly posting videos reviewing, repairing and generally messing around with toys. So today I thought it'd be fun to take a look back at some of those videos and pick out 10 of my favourites, the ones that mark the milestones in my toy repairing time. I fixed an awful lot of toys and shown you many different ways to repair all sorts of issues over the years. So these are my top 10 favourites. I'm sure your top 10 will be completely different to mine, but these are the ones that mean the most to me. So let's get on with the countdown. Number 10 on the list has to be the Snow Trooper cape, which was, I think, one of the first, if not the first cape project that I covered on the channel, and it was the start of many to come. I really do enjoy making capes for figures because there are so many figures that have them missing, and without them they just don't look complete. So now over the years I've covered how to make capes for a whole host of Star Wars figures. I've made custom capes for them, I've made capes for toys from other lines, and I've made custom capes for toys from other lines. I just really enjoy the process of working out the pattern, finding the material, cutting it out, maybe doing a bit of sewing, just sort of generally getting them put together, because as soon as you put them on the figure it really completes the look. So doing the first video using the Snow Trooper cape was a great starting point for me, and I certainly feel that I'm now known as someone who makes an awful lot of capes and supplies an awful lot of cape patterns. So yeah, this was a big starting point for me. So the Snow Trooper cape is in there at number 10. At number 9 we have the Ultimate Action Man Restoration Challenge. I wasn't really intending to get back into collecting Action Man, but a friend of mine sent me a couple, and as soon as I had them and had sort of started working on them, I remembered how cool they were. And then I saw this Action Man for sale that was really one of those ones that you just thought, he is beyond repair, and it looked like such a good challenge. So I grabbed it, and then the fun really began. I had absolutely no idea whether he could be fixed up and restored, but I just thought I'd have a go, because what was there to lose? He was a battered, broken Action Man. The worst that was going to happen was that I would end up with a still battered, broken Action Man. But after an awful lot of work and a lot of paint stripping, I managed to get a really nice looking figure. And I think today, even when I look at that video again, I'm still amazed that I was able to turn such a sort of really badly battered Action Man into one that looks really nice and displayable. And I still have him in my collection. In fact, this is how he looks today. So he hasn't changed in all those years. He still looks exactly the same. He's still got a little bit of a suntan on his face, but he's a survivor, and he's one of my favourite Action Men, and is proudly on display with the rest of my collection. So for that reason he is at number 9 in this list. He's just one of those projects that I look back on so fondly, and I'm still amazed at how good he looks compared to how awful he started out. At number 8 we have Optimus Prime, which is another of those early restoration videos that I did here on the channel, and it was quite a big restoration because there was lots to be done on the figure. I had to strip him right down, strip all the paint off, repaint his cab, sort out the chrome, mend a few parts, find a few parts. It was just a really big project, and I think I spread it out over a couple of videos. I even came back to it at one point because I had a kit for electroplating plastic, so I came back and had a go at electroplating the chrome parts. But the one you see here is the one that I fixed up in that video. So this has all been repainted. I think the chrome was done with Molotow liquid chrome pens, and he still looks good today. So this was done, I think, about 8 years ago, and he's been in my collection all that time, sat with some of my other toys, and he still looks just the same as he does when I first restored him. And since then I've done an awful lot of Transformers restorations. They're a toy line that I always loved as a child, and I still get enjoyment out of fixing them up today. In fact, you'll have seen quite a few new Transformers restorations on the channel recently, because I still find them great fun to work on. These days I probably do the restorations in slightly different ways because I know how to make parts from scratch, but the end result is that I still end up with toys that are very displayable. So Optimus Prime had to be in this list because he was one that really sort of got me back into restoring and repairing Transformers, and I'm still really pleased with how he looks today all these years later. At number 7 we have the Snowspeeder with lights and custom stickers. Now the reason you don't actually see that on my desk here is because I no longer own it. I gave it away to a friend and I've been meaning to make myself my own version for a very long time. But that project again was a really fun one, and one where I learnt a lot. I learnt a lot about soldering and wiring and how to get the flashing lights working and all that sort of stuff, and about how to make sort of Kenner style custom stickers. And from that project I've now sort of moved on to customizing and adding lights to lots of other toys, including lots of Star Wars vehicles and G.I. Joe things. Basically it gave me the confidence to just try more things with the toys and take them that little bit further. So the Snowspeeder was the sort of starting point of that, because I've always liked Snowspeeders. I think they're one of the best Star Wars toys out there. There's so much space inside it and so much potential. It was just a really good starting point, and that's how I then moved on to adding lights and custom stickers to other toys. So the Snowspeeder is a big part of that process, and one that I really enjoyed doing. And as I say, I really need to make myself another one, so that I've actually got one in my collection. Number 6 goes to the Supercharged Ramman project. I'd always been disappointed with this toy. I'd picked up quite a few over the years, but he never really did it for me. When you spring-loaded him, he just sort of gently popped up, and I'd always wanted a version of this toy that really sort of sprang up and fired forward so that you can knock figures over. And so as I sort of learnt more about fixing toys and modifying toys, he was a prime example of one that I wanted to work on. So I worked out how to break one apart, the size of the spring that you need, fitted that all in, and I ended up with a version of the toy that I would have been proud and pleased to have as a child, one that it really is spring loaded. And this is the one that was featured in that video. So he has still got the supercharged spring inside him, so if I lock him down and then we press the button on the side, he will fly far further than any Ramman really should. And that is exactly how a toy should be. So he is number 6 on my list of really good and really fun projects that I've worked on. At this point, I'd also like to give an honourable mention to the 12 or 14-inch scale Chewbacca doll, because this was another of those projects that I've really enjoyed doing, and that's making the bandolier and bag for this figure. Every time you see this figure, he is missing his gun and he's missing his bag and bandolier. And for ages, I'd wanted to have a go at making those missing parts, and I wasn't quite sure how to do it, but because of other projects that I'd worked on in the past, using bits of plastic and styrene and using milliput to sculpt things, it was a project that I wouldn't have been able to do unless I'd actually filmed loads and loads of projects beforehand. So when I got round to this, I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I knew exactly how I was going to make it based on things I'd fixed before. And the end result was I've now got a really nice looking figure with a handmade bag and bandolier, and I'm still really pleased with it. So although he's not an official number on this list, I just thought he deserved an honourable mention, because he's actually quite a big important part of the story of fixing toys here at toy-polloi. At number 5 we have the Mask Switchblade. Now Mask was a toy line I did know about, but I'd never really got into, and it was only when I started sort of buying them recently and working on them I realised how cool they were. And the Switchblade was one of the early ones that I fixed up, and it just started a love of these toys. They're very clever in the way they're constructed. They've got really interesting mechanisms inside, which is always a fun challenge for me, working out how the mechanisms need to go back together, and they have an awful lot of parts that break and go missing. So the whole toy line has been a fun sort of learning curve for me, and the Switchblade is one of those toys that always has parts missing and there's always bits broken inside. So for me it was the perfect sort of project. It stretched my abilities for making new parts, and that's always something I really like doing. So on this Switchblade you see in front of me, this one I've had to make a whole load of parts for. I had to make the exhausts, the propeller blades, the little latch mechanism at the back that holds the wings in, that was broken. There were some other bits inside broken. So it's just one of those projects, lots of things to do and lots of creativity needed to work out how to repair them. So this is why it's number 5 on the list. It's a new toy line to me and I'm still really enjoying working on it, but I think the Switchblade was the one that sort of got me hooked on it, and it's the reason why I've got many more projects sort of lined up that are Mask related. So yeah, a fascinating toy line, and every time I get a new one there's something new to learn and new to work out on it, and I always look forward to getting more of these in to fix. And at number 4 we have Steve Austin, or the $6 Million Man. Now this was a toy that I'd remember playing with as a child, but I'd never had one of my own, and it was when a subscriber to the channel suggested that it would be a fun project to work on that I finally picked up a Steve Austin doll. And the restoration process was just really good fun. It's not something I'd ever sort of thought I would collect or be that interested in. But as soon as I'd started work on one of them, I realised actually how cool he was. And so it was one of those toys that I also came back and revisited in recent years, because I thought I could possibly do the repairs slightly differently to how I did them, you know, near the start of the channel, so almost 10 years ago. And I revisited the project and restored another one, and then learnt new techniques to make a custom version. As you can see here, this is a sort of prototype version of Steve Austin with a chrome-plated engine block. And then from that, I've worked on the Bionic Transport and Repair Station. It's just one of those toy lines that sort of kept growing in my collection. And every time I see a Steve Austin doll, I do tend to pick it up because I like working on them. I think they're really nice dolls. They're really nicely constructed, and they are just sort of an iconic part of the 70s. So he wasn't a toy line I had intended to collect, but thanks to a subscriber to the channel, he is now one that I do actively collect, and I do enjoy fixing them up just because he's such a unique toy, and there's just so many unique elements to him, like the skin that rolls up on his arm to reveal the bionic chips, and his mechanism to make him lift the engine block. It's just a fascinating toy to work on. So I need to say a massive thanks to the subscriber way back at the start of toy-polloi, who suggested that I should work on Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, because I really enjoyed that project, and I'm still really enjoying collecting this toy line. So at number 3 we have the Action Man Space Ranger Solar Hurricane. This was a toy I had as a child and I'd always loved it, and so getting one back in my collection was an exciting thing anyway. The nose cone was missing, so I constructed that out of some 1mm styrene sheet, and this sort of kick-started my abilities and my sort of learning of making things from scratch. So this was the nose cone I made. I've since actually found an original one, but you can see how close the two are, and from that I then started making lots of things from scratch using a styrene sheet. I made the portable neutron destruction pack, which also goes with this set. I've got the top section of this, but the bottom part of it I didn't have, so this was completely constructed out of styrene sheet. And then if you've watched my channel since then, you'll have seen me make a whole load of other bits just using styrene sheet and plastic weld, and I can now make pretty complicated things from it. So all of that stemmed from this project, because without this project I don't think I would have learnt how useful styrene sheet was, and also what you could make from it. So making the nose cone for this started off a whole new process and a whole new sort of way of fixing toys for me, and I think it's sort of really improved what I can do here on the channel. So you see an awful lot more of styrene creation because of the Solar Hurricane. And at number 2 we have repainting the faces on vintage and modern Skeletor figures. Now I really could have picked any of my sort of face painting and paint touch-up videos, but Skeletor means quite a lot to me. If you've watched the channel, you'll know that I have a rather large Skeletor army, and because of all of the fixes that I've done over the last 10 years and the practice and time that I put in trying to learn how to touch paint up, this was the sort of the highlight for me, that I was able to actually repaint the face on a Skeletor and make it look as good as new. It's taken me a long time to learn how to mix paint correctly and get the right colours, but also it's taken a long time to learn how to actually sort of paint fine details and get things to look exactly how I want. So although I've done many paint videos over the years, painting up various figures from Star Wars figures to Masters of the Universe to Action Man, it was the Skeletor video that sort of was the pinnacle of this work, because I'd spent all that time learning how to paint figures, and because of that I was able to get a Skeletor figure to look exactly how I wanted it to. The modern Origins figures are pretty good, but the Origins version of Skeletor, I never liked the face. So because of the skills and the techniques that I've learned over these last 10 years, I was actually able to make him how I wanted him to look, and I've ended up with a Skeletor that I'm really pleased to have in my collection. But really this video could have been about any of these sort of paint touch-up videos, because even something like painting eyes on vintage Star Wars figures has taken me a long time to master how to do it. You need a very steady hand. So any of these paint videos could have been at number 2, but it had to be Skeletor for me, because I couldn't have a top 10 countdown without him in it. Okay, and the number 1 spot goes to the Biker Scout head repair using Lego, because that was the very first time I used Lego to repair any toys, and that was the start of being able to fix so many more toys. Learning that Lego was an ideal source of parts that could be easily modified just meant that I could fix so much more than I'd previously been able to fix, because parts were so easily available. So this is one of the first Biker Scouts that I fixed up, and you can see he just has a Lego Technic post in there, and from there I've managed to fix, I couldn't count how many figures I've fixed using Lego, but I would say it's in the sort of hundreds by now. All of these have had their heads replaced with Lego posts, and then I've got other ones where the arms have been replaced and legs have been reattached. This guy here has his arms attached with a Lego post. It is just such a useful tool to have, and as I say, I have fixed so many toys now over the years with Lego. So the Biker Scout was the start of that process. That was the first time that it had occurred to me that I could easily buy pieces of Lego and that they were easy to cut up and easy to glue and stick into old toys. So without fixing this Biker Scout with Lego, then a whole load of the fixes that you see on this channel wouldn't have happened. So the Biker Scout repair video is definitely my #1 video of the last 10 years. So there we go, that is the top 10 list of videos that I have produced over the last 10 years. It's an eclectic mix because some mean more to me than others. Sometimes it's all about the fix that I learned and what that helped me fix in future. Other times it's just toys that I really enjoyed working on. So I just want to say a massive thanks to all of you who have watched my videos over the last 10 years and to all of you who have got in touch with me and chatted about toys. It really has flown by. I can't believe that I've been making videos for this long, but I have, and hopefully I will be making videos for the next 10 years as well. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Toy-Polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.